Hi, Will. How are you?
Hi, Felicia. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm so glad y'all woke up early on a Saturday to come here because I didn't want
thanks,
to.
everybody.
Not that I don't love every one of you, but this is Eastern time. And it's the wrong time, by the way, right?
According to my body, it is very much the wrong time.
Yeah.
According to my body, which doesn't want to go to bed before 2 a.m. Pacific time.
Yeah.
So I'm 51, and here's a thing that I've learned about being in your 50s. I am tired all the time, except between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. That's your future, my dear.
No, I'm a person.
Oh, yeah, it's coming.
No, why? Were you a night owl as a younger person?
I
or
am.
No?
Yeah,
or,
I am. I'm very much a night owl.
See, I'm the opposite. I hate to. Okay, I'm going to share my secret shame, y'all. I go to bed at 8:45.
Oh, that sounds so great.
Yes. Yep. Just when the cool kids are getting their pants on to go out.
Ann and I went down to Hollywood. Ann is my wife. We went down to Hollywood for a friend's birthday party. A friend of ours turned 50, and they rented one of those rooftop fancy places. That's right, you were there.
I was there.
And
we have mutual friends.
And we're in this place. And I said to Ann, even when it was age appropriate for me, I would never have been in a place like this.
Wrong. Yeah.
It was so weird.
It was so weird. It was like a Western bar, but
Yeah.
hipster Western.
Yeah.
And as a person from Texas, it felt like the whole room was cosplaying.
They're very much appropriating your Texan culture.
It was appropriation, okay?
Did you talk to any of the bartenders?
No.
Okay, so I did, and they were all like, man, we love it when people your age rent the place out. And I was like, okay, first of all, if you could just maybe pump the brakes on your age a little bit, that would be terrific. I'd love that.
Oh, no.
But they were like, yeah, because you guys aren't full of crap. Like, you tip well, and you're quiet, and you get out early. And I was like, yeah, that's the whole point of everything. I don't understand. Like,
That's what age get you. You know, honestly, I have one of those beds that goes.
so do we.
And I'm like, people make fun of it, but I'm like, guess what? Old people lived and they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Does yours warm up?
No.
Okay, so we got the super deluxe version.
Wait,
we spent
what?
grown-up money on our bed.
Ooh, good for you.
Yeah, we totally did. And our bed has it's two different sides because Ann sleeps cold, and I sleep hot.
Stop it.
Yeah,
I didn't know this was technology.
And let me tell you something that's going to fundamentally change your life. If you can make your feet warm when you're going to sleep.
What? You can isolate the warmness?
Yeah, you can. It's amazing. It's phenomenal. It's the best thing. That's
my next phase of life.
I don't
when
like
I go to
that.
bed at 8 p.m.
Dude, you spend so much time in your bed going to bed as early as you do.
It's true.
You should have.
Here's the thing. My daughter is a night owl, okay?
Yes.
She peaks around, she's always had a hard time going to sleep at night. So even though if I wake her up at 6, she's always going to bed at 8:45 or 9. So and being a chump, I didn't let my kid cry it out. So she's trained me for 7 years now to lay by her to go to bed. Don't do that. Don't be compassionate to them. Make them cry. Make them know you're not.
There's just a spectrum between don't be compassionate and let your kid cry it out. There's like a whole spectrum of parenting in there. Like there's so much that you could it's not as binary as you're laying it out for this wonderful audience.
All I'm saying is don't let your kid train you to have to lay in bed next to them to go to sleep every night until they're 7 years old, possibly 16, okay? That's all I'm saying. So anyway, I'm laying there in the dark for upward to an hour because I'm like, she's going to go to bed before 8:45 at one point. No, she never will.
Yeah.
So it's like an hour in the dark. My body is ready for bed. What am I supposed to do at 8:45? Start it up again. Watch, a TV show. No, it's just bedtime.
God, that sounds amazing. I'm so envious.
Yeah. Well,
that's incredible.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you. What time do you wake up, though?
I usually wake up at 9.
Okay, see? I wake up at 6.
That's awful.
It's not voluntary. These children, this stupid schools start early. Why? I don't know.
And it's part of the cruelty.
It is cruel. Anyway, well, is this enough old person talk?
This is basically what happens when we get together for any meal. It's just like, how tired are you right now?
I'm really tired. Let's take some questions.
Let's take some. You've heard enough of us complain about how our feet hurt and we have bunions and there's a storm coming. We were told that there's a microphone over here.
Over here on the right. Okay, so you guys...
And that you've lined up for it?
Beautifully lined up.
Is that right?
Beautifully.
Okay. All right. Wait, I want to establish some ground rules. If you start your question with, this is more of a comment, I'm going to shame you until you leave. And I'm going to enlist the help of everyone who is here. That's number one. And number two,
we reserve the right to not answer a question if we don't want to.
Thank you. Yeah,
that's
okay.
maybe not the two, but that's my
that's
one.
good. That's number two. That's good. We're done.
That it?
Yeah, that's
You didn't
it.
have any other ground rules?
I don't think we need any more rules than that.
Okay. I'd like to come up with another one.
Rule number three, I reserve the right to invent a rule.
Okay, good.
Just for fun. Hello.
Hi.
Good morning.
Hello, this is more of a... Oh, no, just kidding.
That's a good bit. I appreciate your commitment to the bit. That's a good yes and.
Nice.
Like you, Will, this is a question for you. My wife loves you, absolutely. She wants to know what your favorite horror film is.
My favorite horror film is probably The Cabin in the Woods. Primarily because I love how it subverts all of the horror tropes. And I love very much that it makes us, the audience, complicit in everything that happens in that movie. Because we are watching them through the monitors in the control room, and we're not doing anything to save them. I love that movie. I think it's absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't watch horror films.
I know that about you. You don't like horror at all. We've
Babe
talked about
Pig in the
this.
City is the only one I've seen, and that was so horrific. I had to walk out of the theater.
Yeah. Talking pigs are terrifying.
No, that wasn't the part of it. It was the fire and the monkeys.
Oh.
Don't make me relive it. Next question.
Well, good morning. This is
Morning.
for Will. I've been a fan of yours for a long time, but I especially loved your work on Big Bang Theory.
Oh, thanks a
you,
lot.
You're welcome. Do you have a favorite episode that you were on?
I'm not supposed to, but I do. I just love it when we all go to the screening of Star Wars and I come out in a Star Trek uniform.
Yes!
It's so funny. I love it because the line "live long and suck it" is the funniest thing I've ever gotten to say in my entire career. I absolutely love it. It set me up to go to a screening of what was it? Was it Rise of Skywalker? Is that the one that was coming out then? I don't like it.
The new trilogy? Number one, two, or three?
No, this would have been like number 7 or something, I guess, if we're doing that thing.
Oh, 7, 8, 9. That was the first with Rey. The first one that introduced Rey.
It's not. I like the one with Rey. It's the other one. It's the one where the Skywalker.
Middle one?
It's Luke Skywalker, and he's like a Force ghost.
Oh, that's that with the middle one with the heist thing.
Yeah. I wasn't. No. You're thinking of. We've lost them.
Which one was it? Somebody in this room knows.
I went to the premiere. Yes, what you said. I went to the premiere of that one in my actual I own it because I'm a real nerd Star Trek uniform. So I have a real official super high quality Captain Kirk Star Trek uniform shirt, and I wore it to the Chinese theater to go to the screening of Star Wars.
That's great.
For real. With regular people in an audience. It wasn't like an industry premiere or anything. And the local news was in front of the Chinese theater. Channel 9 was in front of the movie theater. And she was like, "You gotta come over here." And I was like, "Okay." And she goes, "Why are you wearing a Star Trek uniform at a Star Wars premiere?" And I said, "Well, I did this once before, and it went over really well." And I was referencing the Big Bang Theory. And I said, "It went over really well. It was really funny." And I see this thing happen in her. I can tell that someone in her ear has just said, "You're talking to someone who worked on Star Trek," because I see everything in her change, right? And she said, "They just told me you're on Star Trek," and I said, "Well, that also, but I mean, that's not why I did.
Did this ever air?
It did. It was live on KCAL.
Can I see the clip? Do they have a clip anywhere?
I'm sure we can find it. I think it was like Mary Beth McDade or one of the local.
Oh, we got to find this.
But
that should be in a reel.
So we've both been, in things that are fancy and whatever. Nothing compares to being on the local news. That's I'm just like, yeah, I made it, man. That's what I watched when I was growing up.
It's true.
I'm right there.
We're all situational beings.
Yeah. Thank you for your question.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hello.
Hey, love that cape.
Thank you.
Wow, that cape's amazing.
the Guild was the first like TTRPG thing I ever consumed, and I was wondering what the first thing that got you into TTRPGs and RPGs in general.
Oh, wow. Well, for me, my mom homeschooled me, and she would let my brother buy D&D manuals, but she was like, you guys can't play this together, because she truly thought that they were devil worshippers. Like, she really, yeah, that leads to some interesting things that she likes now on the internet we won't talk about. But we had the manuals, and I always thought that was cool. And then she got us an Amiga computer, and with it came this computer game called Fairy Tale Adventures, where it was like medieval. It had like, like a harpsichord, but MIDI soundtrack. And it was a RPG, and I fell in love, and I had and then I got the Ultima games. So that really solidified my love of RPGs in a way that I just want to live in a tavern one day. And that would be my heaven, would be like a Bard's Tale kind of tavern. What about you, Will?
I have a similar kind of origin story. I was given the D&D Red Box for Christmas in 1982. And I felt really ripped off. My cousins got video games, and somebody got a bike, and I got like a book. It was like, I was like, this is such bullshit, man. But I was captivated. I fell in love with it immediately. I was a weird kid. You were a weird kid. Like we were we were weird kids. And like back then in the 80s, the way you found D&D usually was through other weird kids. And it was like we found people who like kind of saw us, who were a little like just kind of like just didn't really fit in anywhere, and that gave us this thing to do. And I loved it, and I have never ever looked back. Since you mentioned the Guild, it is entirely because of the Guild that I have a modern career. I would have absolutely no career if Felicia had not cast me in the Guild. That is true, Felicia. You cast me in the Guild, and out of the Guild came TableTop, and out of TableTop came the Big Bang Theory, and out of the Big Bang Theory came a publisher willing to give me a look when I wrote a book. All of it starts with you taking me to coffee to do the Guild.
I appreciate that so much.
I am not saying this to be kind. I am not saying this for any reason other than the world needs to know that I owe my modern career to you.
Oh, that's so sweet. I mean, I owe my career to Joss Whedon, unless he had put me on Buffy, I wouldn't have done the Guild. I wouldn't have known that this world is so wonderful. I wouldn't have done the Guild, and then I wouldn't have done Dr. Horrible, and then like we all have a turning point in person, and that's why I think it's so important, when somebody reaches out and like, hey, can you boost my little game? I'm like, yeah, I can, because you don't ever know that if that one thing is going to make a huge difference in somebody's life. You like having lunch with somebody who's like, I'm trying to get into this. What do I do? That kind of paying it forward, not to get sappy, is really, really important, and something I feel like, yeah, you don't maybe get credit as much as you're, like you might need. Of course, you just gave me credit, but I'm just talking about just in general. Like somebody might not realize that was the moment when their life turned, but it doesn't matter, because we're all just pinballs bouncing off each other, and better to do some good in the world. So that's very sweet of you. Thank you.
Nobody in this industry ever gets anything done by themselves. You never get anything made by yourself. You never like find success by yourself. Like there's people who help you, and there are people who like deliberately stand in your way. I think it's so important that we remember the people who helped us, and that we be the helpers that we encountered ourselves.
Yeah.
I think it's super, super important.
Yeah. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
that. I appreciate it. Hi, next question.
Hi, Will. It's an honor. My name is Neelish.
Hi.
Stand By Me is my favorite movie of all time.
Thanks.
It's my childhood, and it's actually the most special movie between me and my dad.
Oh, I love that. That's wonderful. Thank you.
And thank you. So my question would be, what scene in the movie, in the entire movie, speaks to you the most as a person, as a human being, in terms of who Wil Wheaton is now?
Boy, it's kind of early in the morning for this. I'm gonna be as brief, and I'm gonna keep this as light as I possibly can. I am good in Stand By Me because I am Gordy LaChance. I was invisible in my house. I was abused by my dad. I was treated like garbage by everyone that was around me. I lived in the shadow of my brother. Nothing I could do was good enough for anyone at all. All I wanted in my whole life was to be seen and loved and to have a place in my home where I mattered. That's all I wanted. And that's all Gordy wanted. And I didn't understand until I was in my 40s. That's why I'm good in Stand By Me. I didn't understand because the abuse wasn't bad enough. My mom gaslighted me about it so much that I did not believe it had actually happened to me. And I think Gordy went through a lot of the same things. I remember one day asking Rob Reiner why he cast each of us and what was it about each of us that brought us into the roles. I cannot remember what he told me about me. I can remember that he told me Corey had the anger in him that Teddy has, and that Jerry was just so funny and delightful and was so good at like diffusing situations and just being a delight. And River was this old soul who wanted to take care of everyone. I can't remember what he said about me, but I have seen that movie a million times, and I've been talking about it for almost 40 years. We're all good in that film because Rob cast kids and then created an environment where it was safe for us to express authentic, honest feelings that were really living inside of us. I don't have a favorite scene in that movie. I'm just grateful for the entire thing.
That was beautiful.
And I urge you guys, if you haven't read Will's book, because I read it before it was out, and having known him for like 10 years, I was like, I didn't know this about you. And my heart ached so much, especially as a mom, because I think about this a lot. We all have stuff in our childhoods I'm sure we resent, I'm sure we love, I'm sure we think, oh, that's the reason why I'm this now. And it makes me so sad because kids are born to love, and they're born to nurture, and they're born to create. And we learn everything that takes us away from that place as we grow up. It may not be deliberate. It just exists. And it's all stuff we're having to overcome as adults, even if we have ideal childhoods. So, because our parents are bringing their baggage, right? And so the more we can kind of break that generational trauma and those kind of learned patterns of behavior and the way we see ourselves, the way we see our creativity, like all of that is so important to know that we have the power to not only change, but you got to acknowledge it before you change it. And I'm really, in the time I've known you, you've come so far in your journey.
Thank you.
And I just want to say I'm really proud of you as a friend.
Thank you. Math says that there's at least a couple of cycle breakers in this room, and I just want to shout you out. I know how hard it is. Willy Wonka is in front of this microphone.
Whoa! Chocolate time!
Hi, Wil Wheaton.
Hello.
What's your favorite chocolate?
My favorite chocolate is Cadbury's Dairy Milk chocolate, but it has to come from Birmingham, England. Everywhere else, it is made with actual garbage.
Wow.
What is your favorite chocolate?
Kit Kats.
An excellent choice. When you eat a Kit Kat, do you break it apart into individual things, or do you just go to town on it without giving it a chance to run away?
I snap it in half.
Nice. I really respect the way you eat your Kit Kats, my dude.
It's really cool. My favorite is it's actually C's peanut butter cups, okay?
Wow.
Because I love peanut butter, and I'm not even a fan of chocolate, but when peanut butter comes with it, it'll sell the chocolate for me.
Some Reese's executive was just like, see? This is what I've been talking about. Thank you for your question.
I have eaten a Reese's peanut cup. I've just carved it open like a surgeon and just taken the little patty out.
That's amazing. I can
really good.
100% see you. It is not a stretch at all for me to see you scalpeling that. Yeah, of course. Hi.
Hi, question for you, Will. What is your favorite memory from filming The Big Bang Theory?
The day that Mark Hamill came and worked with us.
That's legit.
Yeah. I got to sit next to Mark when we did our table read the morning of rehearsal for that episode. And in this particular episode, Amy and Sheldon are getting married, and I'm going to be their officiant. And Sheldon gets an upgrade in Mark Hamill. And Amy says, I don't know. I mean, it's another white guy from science fiction with a beard. It feels kind of like a lateral move to me, but if you want to call it an upgrade, that's fine. Which is very, very funny in itself. So there's a scene where I come up to Mark Hamill and I'm like, oh, hey, what's up? You stole my job, or whatever the line is. I can't remember what it is. And Mark Hamill goes, who are you? It's really funny. In rehearsal, this happens, and like everybody is in this room. The network's in the room, the studio's in the room, everybody's there. Mark Hamill says that line, and everybody laughs, it kills, and Mark Hamill goes, I'm sorry, we have to stop. And he looks at me, and Mark Hamill goes, of course I know who you are.
Wow.
Like, I mean, I still cannot, like, really put all of that together. I want you all to know that Mark Hamill is exactly the person you wish he would be. He is, oh my God, there's nothing worse than being let down by someone you love and someone you've really looked up to for a really long time. Mark Hamill is phenomenal. He was exactly who you wanted him to be.
Aw, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Ooh.
All right.
Dude, respect for your thing cosplay.
That's so good.
That is
Well,
commitment,
thank
man.
you. Like, pieces are over there, because...
I believe you. If you
right.
begin to feel anything approaching a comfortable temperature, just step outside.
All right. Pretty much Paramount, CBS, whoever's in charge of Star Trek have been using you to do a lot of their promotions of Star Trek, of here's like the after scenes, like interviews, etc. And they've also been, like, since original Trek, trying to get the Traveler storyline off the grounds. And now that you're a part of that, how do we leverage that and you being like the Stan Lee of Star Trek, where you just have like a background cameo where the Travelers are fixing stuff?
Thank you for putting that into the world. Dude, remember when Stan Lee came to work on Eureka?
I mean, yeah. I sat in his lap.
I wanted to sit in his lap, and he wouldn't let me.
He wasn't as into that.
I would, so thank you. I would absolutely love to do that. I am so grateful and blessed and privileged to occupy this weird little space that I occupy in the Star Trek world right now. I get to have one foot in the fandom that I've been part of my whole life, and I get to have one foot in the veteran Star Trek actor land.
What was that?
Oh, my
was your
goodness,
phone.
it was my phone.
You have a heavy phone.
Hopefully they're already calling.
They should already be calling.
Yes, hello. Is it Star Trek? Oh, hello, Star Trek. It's so nice of you to call me. How are you today? Good. Listen, we have an idea. Oh, they hung up. I get to do this thing where I bring the experience and, like, I'm a legitimate legacy veteran old timer in the Star Trek world, which is still hard to understand, with I love it and I know what we want to know from all of the people that make it. I also know how to talk to them because I'm on the inside of the world that they live in. I don't know that there's anybody else who can do that, and I'm really grateful for it. And I love how my experience as someone who can sort of float around the different Star Trek shows. I know everybody from all the current casts. It kind of mirrors what I imagine Wesley Crusher is doing in canon as well. Just going, traveling around and, like, being involved in different parts of the universe and different parts of stories and things like that. If they
that sounds like a spinoff I'd watch.
Right?
It's like Quantum Leap
Hello,
for Star Trek.
Felicia
Yeah, call
says
it.
she'd watch the spinoff. So yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm retired from on-camera acting, except for Star Trek. I would go back for them.
What about a Guild reunion movie?
Yeah, of course, Felicia.
Okay.
I will do anything for you.
Okay, I like
Speaking
that.
of how I will do anything for you, can we all give Felicia some recognition for Third Eye?
Oh yeah. We won an award, you guys. We won an award. We got the audio award for best audio drama last year, which is surprising since it's a comedy. But hey, I'll take whatever award you give me. You give me an award, I'll show up. Topeka, Kansas, I'm there. Yeah, it was really good. And that was such a labor of love. And I will say that I know it's a little weird, but I think Wil Wheaton is my muse because I can't like start writing something without having a part for him to play in it. And I can't tell you, Neil Gaiman himself, when he listened to Third Eye, was like, I listened to, I can't do Neil, it's too sexy. But he's like, he texted me.
Sexy.
He's so sexy.
God damn.
He texted me, he was like, it's delightful. And Will is quite a standout. He literally, you got the biggest, I was like, okay.
Really? Because I would say that about London, but really
No,
really?
He named you.
Okay.
Everyone's naming everyone but me, but that's okay, you know. I created
I can't name you to your face. That's weird.
I just did.
Okay.
But it was through Neil Gaiman, so
Yeah.
it wasn't as awkward. Anyway, yeah, so you steal the show as Robbie is. If you guys haven't listened to it, it's on Audible, and yeah, I love it. I love it so much, and I hope my next thing I write, you'll have something in it to do, because you're the best. So you better, if I call you for a new on-camera thing, you better say
Hang on,
yes.
Felicia Day's on the phone right now.
Good. Thank you.
You want me to be what in Star Trek?
Thanks. Did you
Hi.
ask a question? Oh, yeah. Hey, what's up?
Did you want to hear us talk about stuff nobody cares about?
Yep. We're here.
We're really good at that.
Morning.
Hi.
I want to thank you both for creating Geek and Sundry and TableTop.
Thank you.
And
Oh, thank you so much.
I would not be into so many different types of games if it weren't for watching the show.
That's why the show exists.
Exactly. If it were to continue, what games today would you like to showcase?
Dude, we haven't talked
So
about this in a minute. What have you been playing
many.
lately? What are you doing these days?
Well, I mean, I don't have any time for anything social with
Yeah.
other people that's not on a computer. But I do, my daughter has gotten to the point where she can play. She's a really good board game player.
Really?
We play cards up.
Yeah.
We don't play cards down.
Yeah,
So we do
sure.
play cards up. She will look at my cards and be like, Mama, you can't have that or you'll beat me. She kicked my butt at 5 tribes. 5 tribes?
5 tribes?
Yes.
For real?
For a 7-year-old. For real. For real.
You held a 7-year-old's attention through an entire game of 5 tribes?
Yes.
That's phenomenal.
She's very intense about it. She gets
That's
up.
incredible.
Yes, I know she's very good. So basically, what we're playing is Isle of Cats, which is kind of like Tetris Cats.
Yeah.
It's a really good game. But every time I go to the game store now because she's obsessed with Pokemon, and I have
Yeah.
a friendly local game store near me who like, hey Felicia, more Pokemon cards? I'm like, yep, okay. But every time I go in there, Geek and Sundry was amazing. I'm so proud of the things we made there. It ended up burning me out in a terrible mental and physical and creative way. But because it was so successful, that was why. So I'm like, I can't complain, but it was a me problem. I didn't know how to protect myself at the time. But I will say my biggest regret leaving the company for my own mental and physical health is only tabletop. Like for real, because I walk into that store and I'm like, oh, I want to learn how to play that game and this game and this game. Oh, we don't have a show to do that anymore. It really is, because it really, for me, I wasn't even as big a board game player myself. But when I called Will and he had this enthusiasm for this idea, and I was like, okay. It turned out to be more magical than anything because of his enthusiasm and the ability to walk people through games in a way where you feel confident to take that box off the shelf and actually play it without being like, oh, let's read 47 pages of dry text and figure this out. Like, it's horrible, right? So anyway, yeah. So Isle of Cats, that was my answer.
I have been playing Calico and Santorini and Trails. That's basically what I've been playing lately. I just wrote about this last week. My friends came over to play, and usually we'll play a huge game. We're like, let's play a big game. I
read that. I read
Still
that
can't
article.
believe you played 5 tribes with your daughter. That blows my mind.
Yeah, we changed the slaves. That was very inappropriate.
Oh boy.
Why they don't reissue? Did they re? They
They
need to
did.
re-
They reissued.
they
So
re-
you have the one. You
I
have
have
yours.
the
Is
old.
from, you're the first printing that we used on TableTop.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and
I'm-
we made such a stink about that on TableTop that the publisher changed it, which is the right thing to do.
Good. I need to get the
yes,
new
thank you.
updated one. It's a wonderful game, but yeah.
But we get together to play these huge games, and we were like, dude, let's just play a casual games and hang out instead. And it got me thinking about tabletop when, there's two things happening in tabletop, and we talked about this in our meetings all the time. There's one show that's happening on the table. That's the game being played. There's another show happening. That's what's happening around the players. When those two things conflict and you have to choose one, always choose the players, because that's the whole point of playing games. That's why we do all of this. I am so grateful and so thrilled to know that the fundamental mission of tabletop, put more gamers into the world, has been an unqualified success. I want to point out that when we started tabletop, I believe it has changed since then, but when we started tabletop, gaming was a male-dominated industry. The audience was primarily male, the creators were primarily male. There was just so much dude energy in gaming. It wasn't great. Tabletop was shepherded and nurtured and brought into existence by women. Tabletop was I'm the only dude in tabletop. It was Felicia and Kim Evie and Sherry Bryant and Jen Arnold. They worked their faces off to make tabletop what it is and pulled all of the, I think, really important, feminine energy that made it accessible to a giant audience that I would have missed because I live in this myopic I'm a dude world. And I think it's so important that everyone knows that tabletop, the most popular television show ever about gaming, really exists because women worked really hard to pull it together.
Very cool. And I think that's one of the reasons why all the time that we pitch tabletop to TV and all these other board game shows to TV, it's like the executives are mostly thinking as a guy, and they're like, well, I really believe that. There was a disconnect between the buyers and what they think the audience is and what the world is of tabletop. They're like, well, it's not dude heavy enough. I really believe that.
My favorite thing about what you did with Geek and Sundry, and that I got to be a part of it, was that we never had to stop and think about that stuff. Hey, what do you want to do? What's exciting to you? Yeah, the audience will find us.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we were right every single time.
Every time they were like, that's not going to work. That show's too long. People won't watch people playing video games. Board games.
No one's going to watch people playing D&D, they said.
They literally did. No one is going to watch people play D&D live. I was told that by the person. Yeah. No, every time I was told that. And that's the thing, in the environment of low budgets, but also the web at the time, which doesn't really exist anymore. You can't really make low budget video anymore. There's no money for it at all. But at the time, it was we have enough money to make something cool, and nobody's gatekeeping us. And unfortunately, when it moved into a more Hollywood, type environment, then all that questioning and layers of expectations and money and perception of audience gets in the way of everything, and then we didn't have the key to everything. But every single time, I'm not kidding, every single time, they're like, no, that won't work. I'm like, okay, I'll prove you wrong.
Okay, well, we're going to go do it and work and hold our breaths forever while we wait for you to admit that
that's
you were
what
wrong.
happened with Third Eye. People were like, that story's not going to work in TV, and I was made it, and now we're very popular. So I do everything out of spite, you guys. Everything.
I think that there is a message that everyone in this room can take and apply to your own creativity, and you can apply it to your own sense of what is important to you. There's always going to be people who just don't get it, that are going to say, you can't do this. And what they're actually saying is, I don't understand why this is important. Do not let that person's lack of vision and lack of belief in themselves limit what you want to make on your own. There is always someone out there who is going to go, oh man, I've been trying to do this too. And they keep telling me no. And you're going to get together and then you're going to do it. Do not let those people shut you down.
It's amazing. Thank you. That's a good success. Thank you. A round of applause for that.
Hi guys. What would be Felicia's favorite Will story from Tabletop, or Will's favorite Felicia story from Tabletop?
I don't know. When we discovered that the couch was a porn couch.
That was pretty great.
I think
that was pretty great. Everything you do, every low budget location in Los Angeles, they shoot porn there. That's how it works. And we found out that our loser's couch for 2 of our seasons was part of that.
It was a real loser's couch.
I don't know. I've seen some people look really happy on that couch. They don't.
Okay.
They don't
All
seem
right,
like
that's
losers
true.
at all.
Okay.
But it was so funny when we figured that out, and then a bunch of people tried to shame us online about how we were shooting on a porn
yeah,
set.
we're not gonna be shamed.
Right? And we were like, nope. And we started a hashtag called TableTopless, which was we took the names of popular games and pornified them. That was a great moment. My favorite moment
That was great.
My favorite moment was when we played Elder Sign. We played Elder Sign,
Elder Sign.
and there's a great GIF of you going tentacle party.
Oh, yeah, the
That's just-
tentacle party.
I don't know why that's so funny to me.
That was a great. I forgot about that. That was a good game.
Oh, and then you and Skaggs destroying us in Resistance was really good too.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
I loved playing you like a fiddle.
Oh man, you really did. 100% owned
Yeah,
me.
yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for your question. Hi.
Hi. So the Guild and Geek and Sundry both really helped shape me as a nerd.
Thank
And
you.
as we were on the shuttle over, my sister and I were quoting Written by a Kid. And if you had the chance to do that again, would that be something you would like to do?
Written by a Kid. That was a show that I believed, and it was really Kim Evie, who was my partner at the Guild. That was her baby. I had very little to do with that show. And when I watched it, I was like, this is brilliant.
So good.
And what really made me mad is that we were never able to support that show and graduate it to a bigger venue. You know, there's a couple of podcasts that are super popular now, like Story Pirates and like that. And all of that, I don't think they probably watched Written by a Kid, but it proves that that concept was super, super, super solid. And I think it had a bigger commercial life, that we could have gotten a bigger platform for it, and it just never clicked. And, you know, I got to tell you, Hollywood is heartbreaking. And it's been really hard over the years to figure out, like, why didn't this hit? Why didn't this hit? You know, and at a certain point, you're just like, the people buying in that world don't really understand me or my world. And I didn't have a right to be a part of their world. They're two different worlds. And as long as I can just keep making stuff on whatever level I can make it, I'm happiest. But the years that I spend knocking on the door being rejected, that's where I get really, you know, depressed and start taking it on me, thinking I'm the problem. I'm not the problem. It's just worlds not colliding. I could give a crap about hockey. When he talks about hockey online, I glaze over in the most aggressive way, right? And so people's worlds are different, and you can't expect them to understand you, to put the work into understanding you when they already got a world going on, right? And so, you know, I would be blessed if those two worlds combined at any point in my life, just because they got money. And doing scrappy things is fun up until a point. I'd love to be able to pay my friends legitimately what they're worth. But at the end of the day, there's always ways to make things, to get your voice out there, to get your creativity out there. And Written by a Kid is a very good example of that, because I truly believe that it was a labor of love that deserved a bigger life. And basically, YouTube wouldn't let us make more of it because it didn't match our demographic. And it was just, business. And it's okay. It is a business. You got to pay for things. But that was a bit of a heartbreaker. So thank you so much for bringing it up, because it really deserves a shout out.
Thank you.
So my question is for Will. I was wondering if the curse and/or hex has been lifted on your dice rolling yet.
Oh no, no, it most certainly has not. By way of example, I will tell you that I am in my second playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3, and I turned off Karma Dice for Baldur's Gate 3, and a few nights ago managed to roll single-digit numbers 8 times in a row. I used up all my inspirations. And I was like, I don't understand what's going on here. This is super weird. At the same time, I played D&D on this Star Trek cruise recently, and I rolled like a beast in that game. It was weird. I rolled poorly, like I do, right? And then it was as if the dice were like, okay, we've shown the audience that this is what happens when you roll dice. I'm going to go ahead and let you have some fun for a change.
Ooh.
So my suspicion is that people keep asking me to curse their dice, right? Which is a thing that I do. I just touch their dice. Congratulations, you have radioactive dice now. And And I'm wondering if maybe somehow like there's a transference happening where like some amount of whatever it is that imbues me is now going into these other people's dice, and it is flattening the curve a little bit for me, that I'm approaching the mean a bit more.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi.
So,
Hi. So, similar to the other guy who was up here earlier, TableTop was influential to me for igniting my passion into board games. So thank you for that. But my question for both of you is, what is the biggest thing that you enjoy for being the king and queen of nerd culture?
I'm actually the Grand Duchess. I've decided to retire to a more tangential, lordly role. So thank you for asking. Also, you got titties on your shirt. Like, what's going on with that?
Bro, those are eyes.
No,
What are you talking
Oh,
about?
okay.
Mr. Popo.
I don't have my glasses
Dude, what's
on.
going on? Come on.
I don't have my glasses on.
What the?
Everything's blurry, including you. Also, I shouldn't say things that come to my mind. This is my internal monologue always.
Is there a bouncer inside your head that you could run these things past?
Nope. I forgot his question.
We've all forgotten his question. I'm sorry, sir. With
It was a tabletop.
with the terrific eyes on your shirt.
The
If
question
you would
was,
ask us your question again.
what's the greatest thing about being so influential
Oh, yeah, that's it.
to the nerd culture?
It's the greatest thing. People compliment me at events like this. I like the compliments. For me, it's seeing young girls especially come up to me and be like, I am doing a programming degree I'm in computer science because of you. I play games because of you. I love seeing generational nerddom continue, especially with a more diverse new generation, because I feel the equity that I always felt in my heart that wasn't quite there when I started about 15 years ago. And I just think the world and nerddom and geekdom is richer for it. And it just makes me really, really proud and happy to have influenced even a little bit.
I'm really grateful that we had an opportunity, I think, to set up some values and expectations for people who identify as nerds. We were able to reduce the number and strength of gatekeepers. That we helped put into the world the idea that being a nerd isn't about what you love, it's about the way you love it. And I think putting the concept that someone who plays fantasy football is just a jock playing D&D is somebody going to, when I go to a hockey game in a jersey, I'm cosplaying at a hockey game, right? And I think that one of the things that I know that we talked about a lot when people were really paying attention to this stuff 10, 15 years ago was like, this is this beautiful, inclusive world that is for people who really don't fit in other places. And all you have to do is show up and there's a seat for you at this table. And the only thing we expect of you is that you're going to be kind and enthusiastic and that you are going to hold the door open for the person behind you. And I think we successfully put some of that into the world.
Yeah, I love that. I think this is going to be our last question. Sorry, everybody behind you. I apologize. But this is red
I'm
flashing.
so glad you said that instead of me, so now they're all mad at you and not me. This worked out really well.
I was wondering, with all the recent success of like The Boys, and I've been watching Supernatural since I was a kid, and then picking up a lot of people from Supernatural, if you were going to make an appearance.
If I will go anywhere you ask me to go.
Wait, like this guy specifically? You should clarify.
Okay.
Yeah, please clarify.
No, so I recently took several years off acting. I fired everybody who repped me in 2019, and I thought I was taking a year off, and it turned out to be 4 or 5 almost, because at the time I had just had a baby, and I was very discouraged by Hollywood especially about the roles I was being offered as a mother, because somehow reproducing made me a mother. And I'm like, well, I'm still Felicia Day. I'm still the quirky person, and I'm certainly not playing these, hey, honey, how was your school? Like that was not the role. And suddenly all my male reps were like, that was it. That's all I was getting. And I was really frustrated. And I quit, and it was the best thing I ever did, taking some healthy mental break, a mental break from the industry as a whole, not being rejected every day. And I just recently came back to it because I feel like, hopefully my mindset, my point of view, my attitude towards it is much more empowered. And I'm not just going to go out for anything. I'm not going to audition for just anything. And so I think having Charlie as a character under my belt, you know, I mean, you've had the same situation. You played roles that are so iconically fitting into your heart that you're like, I don't want to do the trash anymore just to be able to say I'm acting. So that's, you know, if a role presents itself and I feel like I'm going to have fun on set, I will do it. But if it's not going to be a great experience for me, I'm just not going to do it. And I feel very empowered approaching acting like that. I mean, I know you said you quit, but.
Yeah, I'm completely retired. I never wanted to be an actor anyway. It was a thing my parents forced me to do. I want to be a writer. And I'm doing it now. And I act to support writing. It's so weird. There's all these people that live around me who do these other jobs so they can be actors, and I'm like, nope, I act when I have to so that I can do the stuff that I genuinely love to do. And taking that step back and just choosing, no, I really want to do this. It takes away this weird power that Hollywood holds over people like us of oh, you better do what we want or else. And I'm like, oh, you know what? You can go fuck yourself because I don't need you. I love me and I love what I do. I have tremendously talented friends and we get together and make cool stuff that's deeply satisfying. No, I'm not going to come beg you to give me a 3-day top of show job. No, I'm not going to do that. And it does feel incredibly empowering and it feels really great. That said, I have played characters that matter to people, just like Charlie is so important to people.
Yeah.
And is just really meaningful. People tell me how much Wesley Crusher means to them. And that we don't have time because this is screaming at us right now.
Screaming.
For me to go into why. But it just means so much to me to know that I had the privilege of being this character that deeply resonates with people that they have cared about for 30 years. Because there's characters I care about that same way too, right? So, as I said a little while ago, if I were given an opportunity to put that character on again and spend some time with him and bring him back to people who would love to see him now, it would be a privilege and such a gift to do something like that. I would love to do it. And what feels so great is that I'm not oh man, I sure hope they let me do that because I don't have anything else going on in my life.
Yeah.
This feels like I would love to do this. And if it doesn't happen, it's super okay. I got other stuff that I'm really happy about too.
Yeah, and when you talk about The Boys, it's Eric Kripke is the kind of writer, and there's a lot of them in Hollywood who know us as people.
Yeah.
And so when they think of us for a role, it's going to be one of those roles. And rather to hold out for something like that when it's convenient for them and it comes to their brain, then just kind of show up on NCIS and weep over a body. I'm not going to do. No, I don't want to do it.
We have a friend, John Rogers.
Yeah. Oh, he's the best.
John is the co-creator of Leverage. John created,
He's the best.
John created the Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle character. That's in the new Blue Beetle movie. John is a brilliant writer, and about 5 years ago, I asked him if I could just sit down and have a coffee with him, and I said, John, what is wrong with me? Why don't people want to work with me? I don't understand. I don't get it. I can't figure it out. And John said, you are such a specific actor. When someone wants you, they want you. And we, he said, referring to himself as a writer, we write roles for you. And he's a person who writes a role for you. We are, I think, forgive me if I'm speaking out of turn.
I feel a compliment coming on, so yes.
I believe that we are, we're sort of genre actors, and we are very specific in what we bring to our roles. And we know enough people in the industry now that when they want someone who can do that, they write the role and ask us to do it. And it's a gift. It's beautiful, and it's just
So look for us on your TVs very soon, because that karma put out in the world, and all of you guys being our agents, everybody has. Thank you. We're going to be here all day today. Please come say hi and tomorrow. So thank you for this wonderful start of the morning.
Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate you coming out.
Please give a huge round of applause, everybody.